Okay,
There we go.
yeah, all right. So, welcome everyone. I'm so glad to finally have this opportunity to live with my friend Mitchell, who is a coach, trainer, and speaker from Maxwell Leadership. So, I'm so glad to introduce you, Mitchell, to my audience. So, please introduce yourself to everyone watching from all over the world.
Sure. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us today, and thanks for your patience as we had some technical difficulties. You know how Facebook is with these live streams sometimes. So my name is Michelle Mattingly. I'm a Maxwell Leadership certified coach, trainer, and speaker. And I have quite a number of years experience working in a Fortune 100 company and learning and development. And I'm excited to be here today and talk about leadership.
Yeah, so that's amazing, and I'm so glad to have you. And I'm sure that you will add so much value to the people who will join this live and the people who will watch the replay. So I'm so glad to dive in our subject for today. So what you have for us today?
Yeah, so today I wanted to talk about taking your leadership to the next level. And I recently read one of John Maxwell's books, Developing the Leader Within You 2.0. It's a great book. And if you get it, and I highly recommend you get it or check it out from the library, they cover 10 items in terms of developing yourself as a leader. And one of those items is influence. So as John C. Maxwell states, leadership is influence, nothing more and nothing less.
Okay.
Now, that may seem pretty simplistic, right? Like, okay, but how do you develop influence as a leader? You may be thinking, right? Because some people, it comes a little bit more naturally and others have to work on it.
Okay. So I think one of the most important quotes I love from John C. Maxwell is everything rises and falls on leadership. So
Yep.
leadership is influence, and every people have influence with other people. So we all need leadership, and we all have leadership with other people. We influence with other people. We need to grow as a leader in our community. So that's why I invite you to help the people around the world to become better leaders, so they can influence people around them. So let's dive in the subject. So we are going to see what the 5 levels of leadership are. So as John C. Maxwell said, leadership is not just a position you hold, it's a process. So no matter where you are in your life today, there is still room for improvement. So let's go deeper in the 5 levels of leadership.
Yeah, so most people don't even really have a good concept of leadership, right? Some people think that, oh, well, if you have a manager title, for instance, that makes you a leader. And that's not necessarily the case. So the first level of leadership is referred to as position leadership, and we call this influence based on rights. So basically, it's because you have been granted or you have been bestowed a specific title. And when the employees operate underneath a level 1 leader, a lot of times they're just doing whatever's required because they have to, right? Because it's their job and they don't want to get fired, most likely. They want to keep their job. And it's not the best level of leadership to stay in, but it is a foundational level where you can learn a lot of information in. If you've ever had a leader, for instance, who you've asked, well, why are we doing something? And their response is, because I said so, or because I'm the boss, they were operating from a level 1 position-based style of leadership.
Yeah. So that's when the people, when they get a leadership position, they have to transition from the level 1 to level 2 by making effort, by growing. So it's important to not just stay in the level 1 for long, you know,
Right.
as you take the leadership position. So you need to make effort to transition from the boss to the leader.
Definitely. And John Maxwell talks about in the book, Developing the Leader Within You 2.0, about, when he first became a official leader, he actually started as a preacher years ago, and he was in his early 20s, and he recalls a meeting with the church elders, and he really wasn't gaining any traction. And reflecting back on that over the years, he stated, you know what, there was this other guy who whenever he opened his mouth, everybody stopped and listened. But John, the John Maxwell in his 20s, very, very new, young to leadership, he didn't really know about all the levels right then at that point in time. But he did grow, and he didn't stay stuck in that level, of course. I mean, he is the ultimate level 5 Pinnacle leader, which we'll get to in a moment and talk about.
Yeah. So, what is the most important thing a person can do to transition from the level 1 to the level 2?
You really have to be authentic, and you really have to care about people. Because level 2 is all about influencing people based on relationships. So sometimes, you may come across leaders that may just be trying you to, get the job done and not necessarily care about you as an individual. And that's going to come out sooner or later if somebody is, being inauthentic. So it's really important to be authentic, but to develop those personal connections with people. That's going to look different for each person because, everybody has their own unique preferences and communication styles. Level 2 leaders really understand what people need and want, and they're adept at using both formal and informal communication networks. Level 2 leaders, they're not as focused just on rules and regulations. Yes, that's important, but they're not hiding behind that as a level 1 leader might. So it's really important to work on those relationships. And that may be harder for those that are more task-oriented than people-oriented.
Yeah, so that sounds good. So that means, to transition from the level 1 to level 2, it requires effort and a lot of things to do in order to the people you are leading not just follow because they have to, but they follow because they want to follow you.
Exactly, they want to, and that's why it's called permission, right? In terms of level, because it's a weird words like level 2 permission, right? But basically, you haven't had like a specific conversation to say, hey, do you, will you follow me in terms of this level of relationship? You'd get some weird looks, right, if you said that to somebody, right? But it's more of, opening up to people, connecting with them one-on-one. And sometimes that comes with time, and sometimes that comes out of crises, because if you have to work together, like in a time crunch or solve some crises in a work setting, then you're exposed to people a little bit more, and then you may have some more deeper connections that will then carry with you forward. But they're making a choice. The individual employee is making a choice per se to say, yeah, I like you as a person, so I want to help you out, and I'm not just doing this because you're my manager.
Yeah, so that sounds good. So I don't know if you have some deeper insight about the next level. So when people transition from level 1 to level 2, so what is what's the most important thing we need to know about the level 2?
Just being real and valuing people, and by valuing the individual for who they are and the skills that they bring, then you're going to be able to connect with them better.
Yeah, so to connect with people, you're supposed to value them, and you're supposed to willing to help them to grow as an individual and professional, so they can become better. So that's very amazing. And so I would like for you to make a summarize the 5 level, and then we can back and they and them, and so we can develop them for my audience. So please, could you do that?
So we haven't talked about level 3 or level 4 yet. So level 3 is really more production-based, creating. Basically, you get influence because you're producing results. So for instance, people may follow you based on what you've done before. And it's a little tricky because they do build upon each other, each level does, but there are some situations where people that are maybe more task or results oriented may be like getting results and producing on level 3, but they may not necessarily be people, so are people leaders. So for instance, if you're in meetings where you get a lot of stuff done, but it's just absolutely boring and you're not necessarily connecting with people, versus, if you have a really fun leader, sometimes you're having too much fun and it's work, you need to accomplish something, right? So you really have to find that right balance. And when you find that balance between the people, connecting the people and moving them towards a common vision and then producing, you really get some solid footing as a leader. And level, even though there's 5 levels, if you were in level 3 and you maintain level 3, you're doing a great job, and your organization will do a great job at the majority of the people on level 3. Level 4 is really more about developing. So people development. So you empower others and you want to replicate, right? So you want to reproduce, because one individual is too small of a number to achieve significance. So the more leaders that you can create, the better. And it really, the development, and you sometimes hear this in terms of the phrase mentoring or mentoring programs, you really have to be vulnerable in doing that, because when you're trying to develop people as a leader, it's not all cotton candy and chocolate chip cookies and rainbows, right? There's some dark times, but through those dark times you learn, so you have to share those. But in doing so, you're helping produce the next generation of leaders.
Yeah, so sounds good. So there's something that you just said that's very important. So one is too small as a number to achieve greatness. So success not create alone. You need to have a team, and a team is not just to have a team of followers. Is have a team of leaders.
Exactly. Yeah.
There are many people who have a tendency to think that.
I lost you on audio. There you're back.
Okay, yeah. So the function of leadership is to create more followers, but it's not. It's to create more leaders. It's to empower people so they can take and go and take your dream and your vision forward. So what is the most important thing someone can do to take the process and empowering others to help people become leaders, to help them grow as a leader?
So when you get to that people development stage in level 4, and I know the word empowerment has kind of been a hot topic or a little bit of a fad over the recent years, but it's not just showing people how to do things. It's not, first of all, it's not doing it for them, and it's not just showing them how to do it, but it's more than that. So yes, show them how to do it and set them up for success, but then let them do it. So for the people that are more, I'll say, perfectionist based, they're like everything has to be absolutely right. It's harder for them to develop other people because they think nobody else can do it except them. So you really got to be mindful of that, of like, okay, who you are, and have that self-awareness of like, whatever insecurities you have or whatever your strengths are, that's great. But when you're doing level 4 people development, don't let your fears get in the way of developing other people. So for instance, you need to create a safe space where they can learn, but you need to also just have some guardrails for them, but let them go and excel, and let them know that you're there so that you can provide feedback and coaching on whatever it is that you gave them to work on as a leadership development opportunity. And remember, it requires vulnerability, not just on your part as a leader, but it's also going to require vulnerability on them too, because very rarely is somebody going to do something perfect. We're all human. We all make mistakes. So, give credit where credit is due, but also just because it wasn't 100% success doesn't mean that it was a failure. It's a stepping stone and it's a learning moment.
Yeah, so that's amazing. So let's move to the next level.
So level 5, this is the highest level of leadership, and most people honestly aren't going to get to 4, and most people honestly aren't going to get to 5, and that's okay. So level 5 is the pinnacle. It's based on respect and reputation. So like people know who you are in the field. So like people know who John C. Maxwell is. He's a level 5 leader. He's been in that realm for a long time, right? These leaders have their specialty. So John C. Maxwell, yes, he is a level 5 leader in terms of leadership and communication, but he's not a level 5 leader in terms of golf. He may enjoy playing golf, and he does, right? But he's not an expert. He's not the pinnacle of that. And you need to take somebody else as an example for a pinnacle of golf, like Tiger Woods, and there's plenty of others as well. So what you have to remember is, yes, this is something you can definitely aspire to. However, don't get hung up and so focused on tunnel vision of I need to be a pinnacle, because then you're letting the ego take over too, right? And remember, one of the things about leadership is that it's not about you, it's about other people, right? And if you're performing in level 3 and then you're starting to get into level 4 in terms of mentoring and people development, remember, you're developing people. You're not just developing them for you, you're developing them in terms of a legacy of leadership per se.
Yeah. So that's so great. And so, as you said, so there are a lot of people who will attend this level. So the pinnacle. So if someone would like to attend a certain level, so what is the most thing he should start to do now?
It's really about consistency, because you don't get to this level overnight. You don't even get to this level in a couple of years, right? It requires a lifetime of application. So it's all about consistency and being intentional. So you've got to, nail level 1, nail level 2, hopefully you've been performing in level 3. Maybe you're at a level 4. Maybe you're somebody that's already doing people development. So you just have to keep at it. And the other thing about the levels is when the levels don't transfer to new groups. So if you're in a new job, okay?
I lost the audio.
You have to, can you hear me, or did you lose me? Are you there? I can hear you. I feel like a Verizon commercial. So you have to start over when you start a new job, or if you start with new people. Now, if you've already nailed the levels, you're not going to spend as much time as level 1, and you're not going to spend as much time as level 2. It's going to become more natural to you. But
Hey, Mitchell.
hi. Did you mute me? Because something popped up that said the host unmuted you. Can you hear me? I think we're having some technical difficulties. Can you hear me?
Mitchell?
Yes, can you hear me, Belisar? I don't think Belisar can hear me, but if anybody else is out there, I'm just going to repeat just in case it's recording, or hopefully it is. With the levels of leadership, you just have to start over every time. But once you've built that muscle and that you've already achieved the lower levels of leadership, you'll go through them a lot more quickly. But remember, it's all about people and developing others. I think we're still having some technical difficulties. Okay, well, I'm going to go jump over to Facebook. Looks like, let's see if anybody has anything in the chat.
Okay.
Hi.
Mitchell? Yeah.
I can't see you, but I hear you now.
Okay. So can you retake the point that you just having?
Yeah, so I just reiterated that with the levels of leadership, they don't transfer over to new groups. So if you start a new job, for instance, you have to start over that group. So you're starting over at level 1. However, if you've already exercised the muscle and have experience in the different levels of leadership, in theory, you should go through those levels much more quickly than you did the initial time, right? Because you have experience with them. So you can quickly build those relationships and then quickly get to production and balancing the production with a relationship, a good working relationship, and then go on to level 4 people development. But even if you spend a lifetime in level 3 production, you're doing far greater than the majority of the population. Definitely something to aspire to, because we need more leaders. So the more that you can develop people, the better.
Yeah. Are you there?
I'm here.
Yeah. So you were talking about the Pinnacle. So the most important things someone can do from the beginning, so to reach the top, the 5 level of leadership. So which is the Pinnacle.
Okay, I'm sorry, I got a little feedback. I closed out my Facebook just because it started replaying what I had said before. But what I heard you ask me is to elaborate a little bit more about the Pinnacle level leadership. Was that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So the Pinnacle, most people aren't going to achieve the Pinnacle. It's something you can definitely aspire to, but it shouldn't just be your sole focus, right? And it's basically requires a lifetime of application. It's where you influence others based on respect. So, and you're very specialized if you've achieved a Pinnacle level 5 leader, right? You're not going to be an expert in all things or a level 5 leader in every single thing out there, right? You're going to have something that's your specialty, which, as people say, stick to your strengths, right? So there's plenty of things to specialize in for everyone.
Yeah. So there is something I really admire about John C. Maxwell. He always talk about growth. He says growth is not an automatic process. So it's not just because you hold a position for a long time, for years, that means you become better. So you can have a lot of time, but if you don't take the responsibility for your growth to make sure you you intentional about growth. So that's not a guarantee that you will become a better version of yourself.
Right. You definitely have to have a clear vision in terms of what you want to, where you want to grow as a leader, and be intentional about it. I think a lot of people just, don't see someone and they think, oh, I want to emulate that person. And you really have to reflect and be intentional about, like, well, why? What is it? Is it for reasons of the ego, because that person is famous or wealthy? Is it because you see that person making a difference? So you really have to find your why, and Simon Sinek talks a lot about that. But anyhow, and you do that through deep process of reflection, right? And that's one of the things there's plenty of leadership content out there. John Maxwell he has more content out there than anyone else in terms of leadership, but you have to, it's not just going to a course or reading a book. It's not just absorbing the information, but really internalizing that. And you do that through a process of reflection.
So, I think when you take the knowledge from books, you need to put them in action. So to take action, to try to fight them, and to know exactly why you want to go, why you are doing what you are doing. So as you said, the book from John by Simon Sinek start with why. So people don't buy into just why what you do. So they it's about why you do it. So it's very important to start with purpose, to know exactly what you the why behind the things you want to achieve, the leadership position you want to achieve or you want to grow. So it's all about the why. So why you want to make those things and to grow. So I would like to ask something. So what is the most important thing? So if someone just get to a leadership position, so he start by make some production, some people development. So he wants to make a greater impact. So he wants to, how can I say, so to make his work more effective. So what is some insight you have about someone who is in a position like that?
Well, first, I would say you have to go back to reflection and lean into the law of awareness. So 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth, that's another great one of John Maxwell's books. But lean into the law of awareness. So you really have to understand yourself in terms of your strengths, because that's going to help you in terms of how you interact with other people, and that the gifts that you can utilize to make whatever improvements in whatever your job may be.
Yeah. So that sounds very, very great. So self-awareness is very important. So I remember I listened a podcast from John C. Maxwell about the emotional intelligence leader. So I remember one of the key takeaways is about, so a leader should be know his strength and weakness, and as you know your weakness, you will have the ability to take action to strengthen your weakness, or to work on your strength, to make sure you go in the area you are good at, so your weakness will disappear. So that's so fantastic. So for a leader to self-aware and So I think that that's very important for growth to go and become better. So I would like for you to make a review or about the five level, and then we can close our life today, and we can tell also how people can find you. So what do you offer in your company, the leadership broker, or you can serve people and help people grow as a leader.
Yeah, so let's just do a quick wrap up of the 5 levels of leadership. So, level 1 being that position where you're just leaning on the title and basically the rights granted by the position. So, it's not a level you want to stay in long by any means. Level 2 is in terms of permission, having that relationship. So, influencing people because you actually care about them and you're connecting with them. Level 3 is you're producing production. You're influencing people based on results, and you're really starting to gain momentum when you're on level 3 because you're building upon level 1, level 2, and now you're getting things done. And it's a lot easier and it's a lot more pleasant to get things done when obviously people are following you and willing to go the extra mile. I call it discretionary effort when they like you. And then level 4, as a leader, you really have to focus on people development, building the next generation of leaders, thinking about succession planning and such. And level 5, if you're one of the few lucky ones, Pinnacle, it's not something that you just get based on time, but it does take a lifetime of practice and application, and you have to have quite a reputation to become a level 5 leader. So if you'd like to know more about me, you can check out my website at theleadershipbroker.com, and then I also have a Facebook page, The Leadership Broker, on Facebook as well. So I provide consulting solutions in the leadership development space, and I'm also Maxwell certified. So for instance, if you want to become more aware about yourself, because we talked about the law of awareness, for instance, we do have DISC assessments that help you kind of uncover where you are in terms of, how your preferences in terms of how you communicate, and that helps you better understand how to communicate with other people as well. So it's been great. So thank you so much for having me as a guest. I really appreciate it. And feel free to reach out, anyone. Have a great day.
So it's an honor to have you, and thank you for add so much value to us this afternoon. So I'm so excited to have another conversation with you about leadership, and I'm so sorry for the technical problems we encounter today. So it's very strange that happened today. So, but I'm so glad we are flexible and we find another way to make things happen. So I'm
Definitely.
so thankful for you for being patient with me, and I'm so excited. So have a good day, and thank you for everyone who watching from many different countries. So I'm so glad to have you, and continue to grow as a person, as a leader, to make a difference in the world. Have a good day.
Thanks,
Bye bye.
Belisar. Thanks, everyone. Bye.